Well, welcome back everybody to CMU's Facebook Live. Obviously, we are continuing our Maverick Momentum Tour, and so today we're on location at our Montrose campus, joined by an esteemed panel of friends and colleagues here in Montrose. Before we get to that, I want to jump in and address some of our regularly scheduled questions around COVID. COVID continues to be a challenge that the university works through, but I will share with you that we've had a couple of good weeks on campus. Our cases have receded a little bit. We're seeing small areas of case growth, but not clusters, not outbreaks, and that has been really encouraging for us. The other thing that's continued to happen is students continue to get the vaccine. In fact, we've had north of 500 students that have chosen to get the vaccine just since school has started. That continues. We'll have another vaccine bus on campus again in 10 days. And so, big picture, I just want to check in with the campus community and let you know we continue to make progress around COVID. I will draw a pitch. The weather is changing. Students are going to run into the same cold and flu issues that we do every year. So a reminder to you students, if you are not feeling well, if you're symptomatic with a cough, a fever, something like that, do not go to class. Go ahead and reach out to the Wellness Center, log your symptoms on Scout, and let's make sure that you're feeling well before you get back to the classroom and utilize the COVID testing. A note on that, we have now successfully brought 2 testing sites back online. So we've maintained our rapid Java Hut testing site over at the campus Wellness Center, but we've also added a drive-through so that we can continue to meet the needs of not just the campus community, but the community at large. So a couple of quick notes on that. And from that, I guess I would like to introduce our panelists today. Again, we're here in Montrose and celebrating our 30th anniversary later this afternoon as part of this Maverick Momentum Tour. I'm joined today by Senator Don Coram. Don, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
County Commissioner Sue Hansen. Sue, appreciate you
Happy to
making time. Superintendent of Schools, Carrie Stevenson. Carrie, thanks so much. And a Montrose native, right?
Absolutely.
And Bill Bell, City Manager for Montrose. Thank you all so much for making time and really helping us to celebrate this 30th birthday. You know, Senator, a lot of people don't realize that CMU has a Montrose campus if you're not in this community. And so part of our conversation more broadly with the Western Slope and with our campus in Grand Junction and others is really to try and raise some awareness and give them a little bit of a sense of 30 years this campus has been here. What was the history around this? How did this come about? And maybe give us a little bit of a sense of how this has grown over time.
Well, thank you, John, and it's great to be here. You know, I've got a lot of history in this community. I was actually born across the street.
Is that right?
That was St. Luke's Hospital on the corner.
I'll be glad.
And the new hospital was built the next year because I tore the place up.
I suppose that's right.
But, you know, in 1974, Senator Dan Noble, Senate District 6, a great guy from Norwood, probably the longest serving senator in this region by far. It was long before term limits, and he knew what he was doing, and everybody kept sending him back. But he put an amendment on to bring this center together, working with universities to try to get somebody in here. And it worked well for a while till the state did exactly what they always do. They took the funding away. So actually, Margie Masson, who is Margie Christensen now, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And anyway, she introduced legislation to get some funding back into this, and it worked very well for a while. But that was the Band-Aid. That was the beginning, the foundation, and so the community got together and started adding more and expanding, and just did a great job of putting it out. And you say that. You know, a lot of people don't know about you. I'm going to tell you, a lot of people in Denver know about CMU. And you've done a great job of getting the message out. I think you've done a great job. Your predecessor, Tim Foster, I hate to give Tim kudos, but he really he was a real driving force in creating the Mesa image
Yeah.
throughout Western Colorado and throughout the nation. I mean, when I look at your campus and you have students coming from Hawaii and all over, and you think, why Mesa? But if you go to Mesa and you look at the opportunities that you have provided for these students, I remember a few years ago when you did the engineering program with the University of Colorado.
Yeah.
A lot of the professors in the Front Range were just irate that this little school out here was going to be tied to them. And as it turned out, the graduating class, the top student in that class was a girl from Olathe. So
That's
you've
exactly
done a
right.
tremendous job, and we're very, very proud of what you've done. And I think this is just the beginning. I think, it's great that the good thing and the bad thing, you're located in the heart of Montrose. So growth is always going to be a problem, but it's also just amazing what you've done. And
Well, and the vibrancy, right?
so,
I mean,
I envision, I'm watching the Montrose Indians right now, and I envision that, before long, we can have a Division I football team at this campus. What do you think?
your mic is cutting out. I can't. Whoop.
Do I need to say that louder?
Careful,
we
we're
talk
coming for
about
you.
the middle of town, but of course, our work here as a campus and the development over the last number of years, the investment has been as a team, right? It's been partnerships. And Bill Bell, manager, the city of Montrose. I wonder if you might chat with us a little bit about, the partnership work that you've done as a community, and then maybe share with us a little bit about how that partnership has included CMU.
Sure. So one of the best things about Montrose is no matter what the obstacle, our community comes together to make it happen. And you can only do that through really great collaboration and team spirit, and we have that in our community. And so whether it's partnering with nonprofits to get service delivery done during times of need, or partnering between city and county, city and the school district, everyone around this table has partnered at one time or another to make awesome stuff happen. And so just in the past, I've been here 10 years, and we've seen after the recession in the past 5 years, we've made huge strides as a community when it comes to changing the community's perspective on reinvestment in their hometown. And we've seen that through a school initiative to build a middle school, and we've seen it with a rec center initiative to build a rec center, and projects to build public works facilities at the county. Brand new police building across the street from here, $18 million police complex for the City of Montrose Police Department. Connect Trail initiative took partnerships not only here locally, but regionally with all of our smaller communities around the region. We all team up. We don't really have that complex where Montrose is seen as the big dog on campus. We all partner together, and so it's a real sense of regionalism. And then we couldn't do it without our state partners at DOLA and GOCO and all these state entities that really help us. And right now, a lot of that discussion statewide is regarding housing and resolving some of those needs, not only on the affordable subsidized housing side, but also on the workforce side, so we can bring in new employees and keep doing great things. And so our partnership with CMU is just another example of great things when you team up. The quad out here was a great example here a few years ago. We all got our heads together with the advisory committee and President Foster at the time and Derek Wagner, and we talked about the need for a campus feel. And to do that, you have to have a physical structure that people can look and use, and it feels like a campus, and we have that, but we only have phase one of that. And so we're already looking toward the future and expanding the quad, and we're partnering with CMU to purchase adjacent properties like we have in the past already. We're looking at more of those here in the near future to add more facilities, more classroom space, and just a bigger feel to attract more students from not just here in Montrose, but the entire state.
Well, in your community, I mean, I think it's safe to say as you travel around this community, you get a sense of vibrancy. In particular here in the city, you mentioned a lot of those public investments. You're seeing more private investment as well. I know housing is screaming just like as in Grand Junction, right? Which is both a blessing and creates some challenges for all of us as a community. But clearly some of those investments that we're making jointly are with an eye toward exactly that, right? Trying to create some of that momentum, perpetuating momentum sense here, right in the middle of town. And I think, you know, as we think about all the various ways that CMU can partner with the community, we're looking at exactly that. What is it that complements the work that you're doing so that our work really is hand in glove with you all, right? That we're not sort of an island unto ourselves, but rather are responsive and really baked into the fabric of what's happening. And of course, you as a county commissioner, you see beyond just the city limits, right? You see the entire county, so whether those, some of these rural communities on the west end, in Olathe. Talk to us a little bit about what does that look like right now? Because I think in some ways the story of Norwood and Olathe is the story of the Western Slope in some ways. Share with us a little about what that's looking like right now.
Well, those are, you know, the West End is a good hour and a half from Montrose. It's always been once the coal plant left, you know, so it's been struggling ever since. And that left a big hole because those were really great paying jobs. So you know, again, the communities come together to try to solve the problems and figure out what you can do. That community now is the list of what they have going on and what they're doing is pretty impressive. It's just as Bill said, that when people come together and they work together and they see the common purpose and the common goal, they can get together to make things happen. So they have a lot of initiatives going on over in the West End. Olathe the same way. We just partnered with Region 10, and the quote when you were talking to Bill, or as Bill was speaking, you know, someone at Region 10 said, it doesn't matter who takes the credit as long as it gets done. Yeah. And I think that's a really important, because it really shouldn't be we did this. It's the community, because it does benefit the community. Just like having a college here, it helps our entire community. So I look at those smaller towns that are could be struggling, the kids think they have to leave in order to be successful. You know, my personal opinion is it would be great if we had opportunities so that they could stay, right? So our community would not necessarily, it would retain the culture that we have if kids felt like there were options here. And so one of my goals is to, you know, work with Steve Matheny and to talk about what kinds of programs we could have in conjunction with the school district so that kids could feel like there is a viable opportunity here. And so that ties into the city, making sure that we're attracting the right businesses and how can we work well to make that happen. So it really is a community opportunity for us to grow the community the way we want to grow.
Yeah. Well, and you were mentioning before we started here that the airport has been a real important source of that, right? Tell us a little about what's happening out there and what you're seeing and how that ties into some of the growth and vitality here.
So, you know, for better or worse, the airport brings tourists here, and they right, and they see our community and they experience how awesome it is. So then that turns around to them sticking around and staying and purchasing houses, which is all good. So I just say that in jest, sort of. But the airport has been a real driving factor for our economy, and it is growing exponentially. We've had record months this year, and with more and more people coming to see Colorado. I mean, Colorado is having the same kind of growth. It's not just the Western Slope, but you know, in how long we're supposed to double our population by, or 2/3 by what, 2050 or something like that. Yeah. So we're looking at some exponential growth. The airport in and of itself has just been astronomical in terms of what we've been doing. And every time we build we're just putting addition on there. We just approved a $33 million addition to the airport. So that would allow for more airlines to come in here, more people. If you've ever been in our airport or driven by, there is not one parking spot left. So it's crowded, it's necessary. So, and airports are a huge driver for a community, so.
Yeah, we see that a lot, right? Trying to get in and out of these Western Slope cities like Grand Junction and Montrose, where, you know, once in a while you got a little issue on the interstate, maybe on a highway, and these airports just are so vital for our economy and for getting people and goods in and out of some of these communities that are a little harder to access, right? Senator, I might just take a quick detour. You chatted a little bit about, you know, over time that we've been able to build something here. I wonder if you might just expand on on that idea a little bit as you think about the long view. You represent the sort of entirety of this region, but the long view and the importance of education in these towns up and down the western slope, and how you see that role of post-secondary education playing up and down the western slope.
Well, I think it's actually huge, and I think the problem for a long time that we've been trying to tell everybody they have to go to college and they have to get a degree, and a lot of kids aren't made for the major university. And so if we can bring education into this region, whether it be the nursing programs you have or the teacher programs,
Yeah.
but to bring in more of the trade school type things, we're looking at huge problems in Colorado with service workers, truck drivers, an example. Huge shortage of truck drivers.
Sure.
And those are $80,000 to $100,000 jobs. Mechanics, construction. So I think the world is in front of you,
Yep.
and you've been very good at it. You've survived very well. Sue was talking about the West End, and I have a joke that you might not believe this, but I do have one. That area is like the frog in the wagon track. And this frog is in a wagon track, and it can't get out, and its friends can't get out. And so the sun goes down, and they know he's a goner, and they leave him. And they come back the next morning, and he's sitting on a lily pad, just happy as could be, just croaking away. How did you get out? Well, I had to. There was a wagon coming. And that's kind of like we are here. We just, I don't think we have an obstacle. I think we have challenges.
Yeah.
But we have some incredibly talented people in this region, and I'm not limiting it to Montrose. Sue talked about the West End, but if you ever wanted to do the real life Survivor, that's where you would go. Because they took this hit. And, they took the lemon, and they're making lemonade, I got to tell you.
They sure are,
And there's
yeah.
actually some really cool things that may be down the road
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about later.
Well, it's fun to hear you talk about some of that talent around it. It's hard to look around Montrose and not come to that conclusion. And, I think Superintendent Carrie Stevenson, here you are coming home after a very successful career and up and down the Front Range and other places, and here now you're back, and place you grew up, I guess, and graduated high school here, and so you both bring that breadth of experience, but you also understand the personality and character of the region, right? Talk to us a little about what that means for you coming home, and where you see opportunity for our young people in the schools in this region.
Yeah, I felt like when I graduated high school here, there were limited options. And this has always been a place that's near and dear to my heart. My family's here. So having the opportunity to come home was pretty much a no-brainer for me. But I want to make sure that we are providing our students with the opportunity to make the choice to stay if they want to stay,
Yeah.
right? We need to set them up with the opportunities that if they want to go out and spread their wings in other places,
Yeah.
then we support them in doing that. But I hope we are not putting them in a position of having to go out, having to leave home if they don't want to. And so, we have really exciting things coming ahead with a great partnership, working closely with Steve in the last couple of months and talking about the pathways that we can provide our students. We have an initiative in Montrose County School District with the outdoor industry and outdoor education, and
Yeah.
this is a great spot for highlighting our outdoors. And we have a lot of outdoor industries right here in our community. How can we get our kids excited about that and create some industry certificate programs and pathways for kids so that they can stay right here and support that industry? But beyond outdoor, industry or education, we need to make sure that they are able to explore different career opportunities, whether it be in the CTE programming or concurrent enrollment, but they understand very clearly that they have pathways and they have options that would keep them right here in Montrose.
You shared a little bit about this earlier in our conversation, but talk a little more about this idea. You've got the traditional path to college, like you talked about, Senator, but then there's all these additional pathways that maybe a 15, 16, 17-year-old just might not be aware of. What are some of the things you're doing to help open those doors so that institutions like CMU can come along and provide students with those options?
Yeah, as we spoke about before, we have students that will never have the opportunity for whatever reason to really go to a four-year school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to make sure that we give them as much education and opportunity as possible to be
Yeah.
successful with what they want to accomplish. So, one of the things that we're doing this year is having a career fair that is really CTE focused, career and technical education focused, so that kids
So these
can
are
start to
tradesmen, right? With
tradesmen.
CTE, you're talking welding and machining and
Construction.
construction trades, yeah.
Absolutely, big
Mhm.
machinery, right? All of those kinds of things.
Yep.
And then, once we give our students the opportunity to explore in those careers and get the data of what they really want to do for a living, then we can work on developing industry partnerships and industry certification that will give them a leg up from anyone else that might be applying for the same job that doesn't have that beginning experience.
Well, and it seems like in some ways our culture, both in Colorado and beyond, we've done a good job of helping our kids understand that if you go to college, there's sort of this breadth of options available to you. But maybe we've not done as good of a job helping them understand you can make $80,000, $100,000 a year. You can support a family. You can meet the needs of an economy that's growing and thriving in different ways. And perhaps that's one of our bigger opportunities, right?
Absolutely, but I don't think parents know that, right?
Mm.
I think that we need to educate our parents that those opportunities are available for students, and we need to provide them the little bit of education or experience that will set them apart from other people applying for the same jobs in those industries.
Yeah.
So we just need to change the narrative and the mindset, right? I mean, so it used to be you had to go to college or you wouldn't be successful.
Yeah.
And now we know that that's absolutely not true. And, here in Western Colorado, we can't get enough people to build houses. People are waiting for long periods of time to get something remodeled because people are either going to Telluride or somewhere else to build. So I applaud that because I think that we need to celebrate all the options for kids so that they think they can do it, especially even in the ag industry. So for instance, in Olathe, those kids a lot of them are raised on a farm, and they may want to be a farmer, or they might want to have some kind of technical job that has something to do with agriculture. So it's our job to provide that opportunity so that they can get excited about it.
And all of this doesn't mean that we don't continue to support our students that want to go to a four-year
Sure.
college
Right.
or
Sure.
university.
Right.
And we
And
need
you've been
to
successful at that.
absolutely, and
Right.
we need to continue to pursue those
You bet.
concurrent enrollment
Yeah.
classes where
And the
we
jump start
partner.
on university, right?
We know they are more successful
Yeah.
in college if they do concurrent
Right.
enrollment,
Get a little
and
experience
that
under the belt.
and that tuition savings
Yeah,
is
you
always a
bet.
good thing for families as
So
well.
it's not it's not or,
It's and.
right?
Yeah.
So-
Definitely.
The other thing I've reflected on as I've been traveling the state over the last few months is, in some ways as a society, we've kind of relied on these elite colleges, but they really have served this kind of top quartile of society. And when we think about the challenges and the complexities of our future, I think the reality is we can't be successful with some of our best and our brightest. We've got to find that jewel in Norwood. We got to find that diamond in the rough in Olathe. Senator, you pointed out top graduating engineer in the entirety of the College of Engineering for the University of Colorado. That includes all the kids in Boulder. Was a girl out of Olathe, and
Correct.
It points out this idea that we've got immensely talented kids throughout rural Western Colorado, but we got to give them opportunities, right?
Right.
So let me ask the panel this: as you think about the growth over the last 5 or 10 years, which has been remarkable. I mean, I think most people would say, who have any sort of understanding of what's happening in Montrose, would say you've got something really special going here, and that all the various partnerships, and we're grateful to be part of some of those, have really been some of those successes. But I'm going to ask you to maybe turn your view to the next 5 or 10 or 15 years. Where do you think the greatest opportunities are for CMU Montrose and for the community at large? Senator, I'll start with you. What do you think are...
Thanks for the easy question.
As a futurist here.
Well, I think I travel. I've probably been on probably every campus in the state in the last 10 years. And the question always come back is, what is Mesa doing that has made the big change in Mesa? So I guess what I'm going to say is, do what you do well. And you have reached out. I'm totally amazed that the relationship of the administration has with students. And I think that's a huge, huge factor. You know, you've made them feel welcome. You've mentored them. You've taught them a great deal. You've taught them about life. And a lot of these people they just need an opportunity. My brother-in-law is a prime example of going through the system here. He's in the construction industry, does not have a degree, but he manages billion-dollar jobs.
Wow.
And he's been selected as the superintendent of the year in the United States, Utah. He lives in Utah right now, but Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. He superintendent on the dome at the University of Wyoming.
Oh.
City Center, the big billion-dollar job in downtown Salt Lake. That's his project. He's got over $1 billion worth of work right now that he's overseeing. And it's just because somebody locally gave him an opportunity. So
Finding that opportunity.
be that mentor out there.
What do you think, Senator Hansen? Or Commissioner Hansen?
Oh,
what
God,
do
I
you
just
see?
got a promotion.
I'm not sure you did,
Is that a
but
promotion? What did you call me senator?
Oh, don't take it.
Don't take it.
It's more headache and less money.
I'm glad you asked me, because I think that, you know, we know that communities are better with schools, right, with the higher education in those communities.
Yeah.
And so for me, 5 years, 20 years down the road, I would love to see a robust, you know, I like to see kids walking around. I want to see them living down here. I want to, you know, I want it to be a whole lifestyle. And we know that, you know, communities become more diverse. There's more offerings. I mean, people, there's just it attracts different folks to the community.
yeah, there's
so.
a vibrancy.
Vibrancy, yeah.
Were you thinking of that
associated with
D1
people.
football program that I mentioned?
Yeah, did I mention that?
Yeah, I
that
thought
was
you
it.
did.
That was it.
It's great that you bring that up again, Senator. Bill, what about you? What do you think? What do you see in our future here?
I think a lot of what Commissioner Hansen just said, the expansion of the campus, and really taking the fact that we have real people here, and our students are real people. We can use that to our advantage, and we're right in the heart of downtown. So let's also use that to our advantage by just slowly, in a phased-in approach, expand one property at a time, similar to what you guys have done over in Grand Junction, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
But we have all the same opportunities here for the next 5 to 10 years. I think we just need to be willing to take the risk. And a lot of times we'll talk about that. There's a little fear factor out there. And the communities that reinvest during the recessions, the communities that partner up and take those risks during the times of uncertainty, those are the communities that really reap the benefits. And that's what we're seeing right now in Montrose. So I'm hoping for another 10 years like the last.
Well, and as you said, you know, we've made progress on some of those building plans and more in the offings, right? Even in real time, we're moving to kind of jointly move ahead on some of those projects. So that makes good sense to me. The other thing that I'm struck by, and Carrie, you may have thoughts on this, but you know, Western Colorado kids, they tend to be more successful in person, right? When they can be in relationship, and so this sort of the futurist view of a exclusively online education or something like that. You know, our experience has told us that just doesn't serve our rural kids as well, and so, as you said, having that physical place and that home and that anchor where maybe you complement that work with some online learning, but having that physical campus where people can really anchor in and call home, it matters. Right?
And I think the fact that you've identified classes that would be appropriate here for this community is really important. So instead of, you know, bringing in something that the kids wouldn't be interested in. So there is the welding class is a perfect example, the nursing program, those are things that we need here too. And then potentially a social work program you were talking about earlier. So those are all things that are going to be necessary on the Western Slope soon. So
Yeah, just being hyper practical about how we best serve the community. Karen, what do you think? You bring the fresh eyes to the community at this point. Where do you see things heading?
Yeah, I would love for the community to understand that we can support preschool through 20, right? Have that be a concept that, you know, we've got you from the very beginning until you graduate as far as you want to graduate. I would love to see the sidewalk worn out and need to be replaced between this campus here and Montrose High School, because so many kids are going back and forth for the different opportunities that we provide them. So.
Yeah, starting more both in breadth and in sort of the depth of offerings for students. As you said, it gives momentum to students. It helps them save money. And we know that that serves as a springboard then into college, whether it's here or somewhere else. Really becomes an important jumping off point, right?
Absolutely. And the more we expand, and you know, like Bill was mentioning the quad, the more it looks like a real campus that has that vibrant activity, the more kids will want to stay.
yeah.
Well, I will say we're so proud to be associated with this community. You know, our institution will celebrate our 100th anniversary coming up in a few years here. And the truth is, we'll graduate more people in the next 25 years than we graduated in the last 100 because of the growth of this institution. And when you really think about that, Montrose has continued to be a vital part of that growth and that regional presence and the footprint that we have in Western Colorado. So I would just say thank you to all of our partners. You all have been so vital in our success and continuing to sort of arm in arm build something that really is going to sustain Western Colorado into the next several decades. So
Yeah, just
grateful.
remember, you started 96 years ago with 37 students.
Yeah, well, it's got to start
You
somewhere.
got a
right?
goal.
Thank you to all of my friends and colleagues here. Thank you for taking time. We're going to go celebrate now with the rest of the community our 30th anniversary here in Montrose, Colorado, and we're grateful to be part of it. To all of you at home, thank you for joining us today, and we'll sign off and see you again real soon. Thanks, everybody.